Hello, everyone. Today is Saturday, January 10th. This is Beyond Bitcoin Hangout, and we are talking today with Bombastic and Logxing, who are core developers for BitShares Play. Hackfisher cannot be with us today because he is AFK for personal issues and things that are going on in real life. Bombastic and Logxing, however, have joined us to answer the community's questions. We will start off with they will provide an update, a project update, and from there we'll move into community questions. And if we have any time, we'll go to the forums and see if there are any questions that are asked there or on Beyond Bitcoin Show subreddit and see if there are any questions asked there. And with that said, would you like to get started, Logxing or Bombastic? Either one.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. First of all, Daniel want me to express his apology for not be able to attend this meeting. So today, me and Logxing will be giving everybody the update of the project. For the last 2 weeks, it has been a busy and exciting 2 weeks. The main focus was the crowdfunding. Yes, it started at January 5th, and till now, it's like 5 days past. We have already raised about 1,200 bitcoins. This is beyond expectation, and we are very excited about this. Actually, our marketing team has done a lot of work to make this happen. They've been preparing articles and talking with some major portal websites, the gaming vertical websites. So the crowdfunding news of this BitShares Play has been published in some in big websites, but most of them are Chinese websites. And also they have managed to have some KOLs of Chinese social websites. They like Guru, who's quite famous, and he's able to accept do an interview and talk about BitShares Play. And next week, actually, there's another wave marketing activities, but I'm not be able to talk about the details. But there's another big wave to happen next week. Also, you can actually see the Aegis Explorer. I was working on aegisexplorer.com. Now it's being updated, and you can track live dates, data of the crowdfunding, and then you can, if you invested, you can check your balance from the site. And there are some other points I've gathered from different teams. First of all, from the technical team, for the past weeks, Hackerfish and Clark, they have been exploring. They are doing a proof of concept for. They're trying to lower the barrier for game developers, because for now developers want to deploy a on-chain game. They have to write the game in C++. So Hackerfish decided to explore the possibility that we have some kind of virtual machine that developers can write game logic in other languages, not only C++. So Hackerfish is working on the V8 JavaScript engine, and Clark is doing experiments with Lua language. So the reason for doing that is, one thing is, I mentioned, it's lower the barrier for game developers. The other thing is, for example, exploring the JavaScript engine, because we realize that it's getting more and more popular, that the mobile games is getting more and more popular. So there are plenty of games, ready-to-go games are on mobile platform. Some are iOS or Android native games, but many of them are JavaScript lightweight games. So if this is possible, that would be very easy for game developers to migrate their games to BitShares Play platform. So this is something Hackerfish and the Cloud, they are working on in the last 2 weeks.
So to get this straight, they're setting it up so you can develop almost kind of like it's almost like a Java-based type of development. How Java works, where it can kind of go cross-platform a lot more easily. And then you're developing if I'm getting this correct, you're wanting to drive development into the mobile sphere even more than perhaps say PC gaming and things like that, at least initially.
Yeah, we try to make it easier for game developers, because BitShares Play provides a very low level APIs to interact with blockchains. But with that, it will be it has to be done in C++, and the game developers, they have to understand blockchain technology. If this is working, we will be able to provide high-level APIs for game developers. They don't really have to understand blockchain. They just need to invoke several APIs to, for example, to refund user, to use users' game chip to activate some game action, things like that. And the developers can write their game logic in language they mastered, for example, JavaScript or Lua. If this concept is working, we can expand it to other languages. So this will attract many more developers to come to BitShares platform.
That's awesome. Now, out of curiosity, I'm curious here because we've had some conversations over in the BitShares Super DAC sphere, where we're talking about the exchange and the flagship BitShares DAC. Are there any places where you see this helping the primary, the first flagship BitShares chain?
You mean how this will help BitShares, right?
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, in general, I've kind of noticed that you have two camps. You have some people who they just think of BitShares as one DAC. It is the BitShares. It's at bitsharestalk.org is where you go to be part of that community, right? But they don't believe that, they kind of look at it as if there are other BitShares DACs that provide other services and functions that they might actually take away from the value of the primary BitShares DAC. And I guess my question is, and I'm not in that camp. I'm in the other camp that believes that the more DACs that we have being developed using the BitShares toolkit, the better all of them are going to be, because the developers are going to have a larger library of tools that they can draw upon. So I guess what I'm asking is, with what you guys are doing right now, how will that benefit other BitShares DACs, or will it?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I believe either BitShares DAC's success will benefit the other DACs, because all the BitShares DACs, they share a common father, I would say, BitShares toolkit. Then BitShares itself is kind of going one direction to decentralized exchange and the packed market assets, user issued access. This is what BitShares is focusing on, maybe future voting features. And BitShares Play or Music, they are using the BitShares toolkit, it was something like you were mentioning the Intel Inside. It's the basic technology. They are the core. So if BitShares play or music, they did great. I think people, the users, the investors will see this this is success and a credit to the core, the BitShares toolkit. So every BitShares stack will benefit from that.
Now, do you see any places where the angle you've taken on development will help other potential DAC creators and developers? Do you, for instance, do you see, because you're talking about game developers now will be able to essentially use whatever language they have mastered. They will not be they will not need to feel like they're forced into having to learn C++. That I might be a Java developer and I can go out and use Java eventually to build my games and just use the APIs to plug into the blockchain technology. Do you see any crossover in that area with the other DACs that might come out?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you repeat it?
Sure. Let me see if I can explain it better. What you've essentially done here is awesome, because as opposed to having a small pool of developers for BitShares Play, now you've opened it up to people who might not be masters in C++, but they might be masters in another language, right? They might have grown up coding in a certain language. They can code in this language blindfolded, and because you've opened up that pool of potential talent, you can now have more games developed on BitShares Play, essentially, correct?
Yes, correct.
Now, does that apply to other DACs? Are there? Do you see any place where this type of this course that you guys have taken and chosen will actually help benefit other DACs that might have the same issues with, only a small pool of developers that focus on C++, maybe being opened up to other developers in other languages?
Yeah, I think this idea is other DACs can borrow this idea if it fits their industries. For BitShares Play, because we are actually building a platform, and developers, they have to build their own games, their own logic. So this is why we're providing this. For music, if we talk about music, I think they probably don't need something like this. But other DACs, I don't know. If some DACs they share some they have this needs, they can use something like this.
So you're saying essentially kind of like anything that is trying to work as a platform that people can plug their own code into that API, they can invoke these APIs to actually interact with the code that they've written.
Yeah, basically, right.
That's awesome, man. That's huge for gaming, and I see it as potentially huge for a lot of other DACs. I guess we'll see where it goes beyond play, but I just want to. The reason I'm focusing on it right now is to kind of help people who are listening to these Hangouts who might not necessarily understand the value of having multiple DACs that are with brilliant developers who are taking different paths. Because what you guys are doing right now, I see a lot of value added to the entire BitShares ecosystem. And I just want to try to help you guys focus a little bit on that to help teach the community what your opinions are on it.
Yeah, I think this can also demonstrate the ability that once you have a strong core, then you can have imagination is your only limitation, I think.
Yeah, that's the gamer in you. With that said, are there any other updates that you feel are important that the community should know about and the investors should know about?
Yeah, let me go through the other bullet points. Um, JJIT is a new member, and he was working on the big play talk forum. He's now free, and he's working on a blockchain explorer for BitShares Play. And also, last week we internally released the testnet number 8, testnet number 8. It's a command line only testnet. It is not. I don't think it's ready for public to test. The purpose for it is for our internal test, because we are building a faucet service. Thanks to Valentine, he's working on a faucet website for BitShares Play. Oh, no, for BitShares. And with that foundation, we can very fast we can develop a faucet site for Play. And we found that the site can be used to fund PlayShare or a DevShare or BitShares account. So when the site is ready, we will users can use the faucet to help register their BitShares account, the DevShare account, PlayShare testnet account. This is the site I've been working on recently.
Wow. So just to reiterate, you're saying that this will be a single portal where anybody can go and essentially access the faucet for any of the DACs that are currently out?
Yeah, that's the plan. Because faucet.bitshares.org is live last week maybe, but Chinese audience have problem visiting it because China has some sites are banned, so we have difficulty to log in to visit the site. And also the social medias there, they are big, but mostly are banned in China. So I was helping Valentine to add Sina Weibo and QQ, two of the biggest social media in China to faucet.bitshares.org. So those codes will be used. We will fork the code to build the Play faucet, because we found it's very easy to. Yeah, Valentine obviously did a very good job. It's very easy for us to fund the accounts from different DAC. So maybe it's not maybe we plan to do this. So the Play's faucet will be helping Play users as well as BitShare users.
That's awesome. And do you see an extensibility for future DACs? Like, for instance, if another DAC comes out that's going to be DPost based, delegated proof of stake based, and share drops on us, do you see the potential of opening up a faucet for those as long as they meet a certain criteria?
Yeah, I think why not? Because doing faucet won't cost us much money, but it will attract new users. So it's something very cost effective.
I'm actually very pumped to hear this little update. I didn't know that you guys were planning on doing that, and I know that for a while you couldn't see on AGS Explorer the crowdfunding amounts, but now apparently you can do that too, so that's also a benefit. So we're starting to see the BitShares ecosystem starting to bud. You know what I mean? So it's going to be really cool to watch it bloom in the coming months and years.
Yeah, that's right. And for other updates, Web Wallet. Actually, I was working on Web Wallet, but last 2 weeks I've been busy working on crowdfunding, AGS Explorer, and the Faucet. So I'm still finalizing the web wallet. I don't worry about it because it's very close to be done. So these three things actually are linked together. Faucet, the internal release, the testnet, and the web wallet, they are actually tested together. And also something I'd like to add is HR. Because crowdfunding is not just a channel for us to raise funds. We take it as a great opportunity to market BitShares plays. That's why our market team is doing so much work, and we can see that you can see some positive results from HR team. Because like weeks ago, HR is trying to attract talents from LinkedIn or GitHub profiles to write to people, ask them if they are interested in helping ambitious play. But now we are actually start to receiving CVs from international developers. So I think this is a positive result of the past effort.
So could you kind of explain that a little bit more? I'm trying to understand here.
Well, actually, we still need more developers to join us to help develop BitShares play. We still need C++ players, developers, because now we have Hackerfish, Clara, and Crazy Bit, who's a new member. These three guys, they are C++ developers. We still need more people help us, part-time or full-time. Also, I need some guys help with web wallet and light wallet development. So we welcome developers who are interested in BitShares play and believe in BitShares play to contact us and help us.
Okay, so for HR, you're talking about human resources.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make that clear for anybody who's not familiar with the acronyms. There are many acronyms that, HR could mean probably, I'm sure that there are many other acronyms out there for it. But is there any way that somebody who's interested in developing for you guys or with you guys can contact you, or the best method to do so?
Yeah, actually they can post their we prefer the developers who's interested to submit their GitHub profile to playtalk.org to our forum, so that we can it's the best way to review a developer.
Got you. So they can go to playtalk.org, register, and then you have a section that is devoted specifically toward developers posting their GitHub profiles and all the work that they've done. And then from there, you'll interact with them on the forums and kind of seek them out for different positions.
Yes, exactly. And this is about the points I'd like to share with you guys. Logxing, do you have something to add? Did I miss anything? Okay, then pretty much this is what I need to talk about. So you guys, do you have any questions? You can ask me. I'll try my best to answer them.
Feel free to speak up, Matt or Spartaco, Wallace, QJ, S. Divin, any of you guys, Genso. All of you are here as part of the community, so I know that I probably don't need to remind some of you, but I like to make sure to remind, just in case there are people who are new here. They are here to answer questions for you, so feel free to ask away.
You've probably explained this before, but I'm trying to kind of wrap my head around the play concept. What's the revenue model for play. How do you plan to generate generate money to keep developers, to keep developing apps for you, and to kind of keep everything going?
You mean the revenue model for game developers, right?
Game developers as they're used in your system.
Okay. First of all, for the game developers who develop games on the BitShares platform, I think the revenue model for them is how would I say? It's not precisely transaction fee, but a kind of a game fee, because users to play game, they need to buy the game chip to participate in the game activities, right? So sometimes you buy, for example, you have game equipment users can buy. So in the game, you can have like a kind of essential deposit address. Each user buy your equipment or do things, they will have to transfer some actions or some fees to your developer's account. So this is one revenue model for the game developer.
So I hate to interrupt. Maybe we could go from, let's say there's a popular game. Let's say World of Warcraft. That's still a pretty popular game. They have World of Warcraft has a common currency called World of Warcraft Gold, right? Yeah, of course, Jenso. It's to me, it's the easiest way to describe it because there's such a huge user base. And I find that it's good to give real live examples so people can look at it and kind of make a connection that way. So if we're looking at something like World of Warcraft, would the World of Warcraft Gold be kind of the token that they have, the game coin? Would that be replaced by the game coin, or would that coexist? Or how would you see something like a Morpeg type of game, a developer wanting to monetize that? Could you walk us through it?
I think that we should differentiate the games. This fictional World of Warcraft is on-chain game or off-chain game?
It would be let's just say it would be an off-chain game because it's already created. The developers don't want to start from ground zero. They want to take the product that they already have and attach it to the blockchain and utilize the transparency of the transactions and all the value added that the blockchain platform gives them. So from that aspect, could you tell me, or tell Jenso and all of us, how you would see that potentially playing out? And please understand, to everybody who's listening, this is just one example. This is open to any developers to make the final decision, but continue.
Yeah, I would say for off-chain games, for example, WoW, the reason for them to use BitShares Play, one is for transparency tokens. If they move their gold to BitShares Play platforms, so that they can prove to users that the world of WoW gold is controlled, it's transparent. They will not issue new money. This proof to users their money system is transparent. This is one benefit. The other benefit is normally they will have economic system, or the in-game market. Users can buy or sell their equipments, but now those equipments can be moved out of the game, which means users can trade their equipment for other games, for PRS, so that they can buy equipment from other games. So this is essentially give the game users an opportunity to make their in-game equipment or assets, properties a way out. I think this will be the biggest benefits for option games to utilize BitShares Play.
So to explain a little bit further, then, as a user, the value for me is that if I play a game that is an off-chain game that that connects up to the platform, I can play this game for 2 years, and then I can transfer my wealth from this game to another game, which is completely different from what it has been in the past, where if you lived in a game world for a year, basically, you worked on, a character for 10 or 15 hours a week over the course of a year, and that might be 500, 600, 1,000 hours. Those hours represent work that I've done in that game world. So the wealth that I've earned prior to this BitShares Play coming out, if I ever wanted to go to a new game, I had to start over from square one. Whereas now I can use the cross-platform exchange, and I can actually carry my wealth over to the new game that I want to start from the old game. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And also, if you want to leave the old game, you can just walk away with some cash, because you can transfer your equipment, trade your equipment in this old game to PRS. And from PRS, you can go to another game, or can go out. You can trade it for money.
Okay, so and just so everybody knows, PLS stands for Play Shares. And what this is getting to, I think what Genso was talking about, is you're showing the value of the blockchain. Now, how does PLS, how do you monetize this to continue development on the BitShares Play chain, blockchain itself? Like, how are you going to pay your bills as a developer working on this chain? Is that correct, Genso?
Yes. I see the use. That's a great description, Bombastic, that you made. I see the value of it, but I want to know how did the developers get paid?
You mean the BitShares developers, right?
The Play developers.
Okay. Because this is why crowdfunding is happening now. Because we raise funds, the funds will be paid to the developers and the other development infrastructure. So developers, they will be paid from the fund raised. This is one source. The other thing is developers will have, they themselves are BitShares Play investors. So the success of the platform benefits them as well.
Are they collecting, like a transaction fee when me as a player, I'm playing game A. I decide I'm done playing game A and I want to sell my equipment and and convert it so that I can start play game B. Do they collect maybe like a transaction fee? What happens when the crowdfunding money runs out, like the long term?
The transaction fees will be burned. They will not go to BitShares developers. For the long term, if you mean because the raised funds are supposed to support the development for at least 2 years.
Okay, so basically, your thought is that in 2 years' time, because you're using deflation, you're burning these funds, you're constantly making your existing shares have a greater value.
Yes, that's right. Because the inflational model, the BitShares is using the inflational supplies to fund the delegates. We decide not to use that at the moment.
I understand. There's good points for using inflation models and good points for using deflation models. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea that you're using a deflationary model.
Yeah.
So, out of curiosity, whenever, let's say somebody is going to be developing for an on-chain game, what is the difference between that and the off-chain game? I know that we've covered this with Hackfisher a little bit, but I would like to revisit it primarily to make sure that we get different angles, and your explanation might clarify some issues for some people who are listening who may have been confused listening to Hackfisher's or my explanations.
I think on-chain games, they are more, in a way, they are more integrated into the BitShares play system. Because off-chain games, they normally have already running a game or economic systems. They use BitShares plays to kind of trade their equipment or prove their tokens. For on-chain games, everything is on the chain, so it's definitely transparent. Developers they will how to say, first of all, the benefits for the on-chain game developers is they value, they think BitShares play users are the user base is big, and they want to expose their games to them. The second is they don't want to get ripped off by traditional game portals, game channels. Normally game developers for mobile or anything, they want to publish their games. They have to share the large portion of their revenues to the channels. So many game developers we talk with, they hate that, and they are surprised that there's some platform like BitShares BitShares Play that they don't have to pay that much. This is the second benefit for them. The third is the on-chain game developers, they can also make money. Just I said before, they have they can have developer accounts in the game. So people play games, they have to pay fees to them. So the success of their games, the more user to play, they will make developers profit.
So they will actually play themselves. Is that what you're saying?
They will what? They will play themselves.
They will play the game themselves as like a game master or something to that effect. Or I'm trying to understand where you're coming from with that explanation. That just that one portion.
Oh, I mean, that's a different. It's a different. It's not related. I mean, the game developer, they want to play their own game. So of course it's okay. Yeah, that's what I mean.
So they might know the best ways of doing things because they developed it, and that gives them an edge in the game. Is that kind of the idea?
No, that's not what I mean. I mean the on-chain game is more transparent. The game developers, they won't have edge over other games, except that they understand the game logic better than average users. They cannot cheat. I mean, I know what the confusion is. I mean, if user is playing your game, then users can contribute. They can you can set the rules that the user you want to play chess, for example. Each move you should transfer one game chip to the game developer's account so that you can continue. This is how you developer make money. This is an example.
Oh, I see. So you can actually monetize things within the games. For instance, if I'm a game developer, and it's really, this is up to my, it's really limited by my imagination as a game developer, but I might have, for instance, in a game that people are playing, I might have a little place where they can take their character and go to a gambling hut, and they can potentially earn a lot of money in game chips, but you might have like a little casino inside of the game itself where people can use their game chips that they've earned and actually bet. And some of those go to the developers. It could be, I mean, it's really limited only by the imaginations of the game developers to include things like that.
Yeah, you are right. They actually can have many ways to make money.
That's really cool. The interesting thing that, well, first off, Genso, do you have any questions regarding any of the stuff that he's talked about?
No, I think he's explained it really well. It sounds like there's multiple opportunities that a developer has to monetize, his system. I did have a question regarding the delegates, but I can wait until we get to that.
Yeah, I would love to. There's only one more thing that I would like to cover as far as, and it actually hits upon a question that Genso asked, making money from the lower fees for listing games, because you don't, the play chain is going to have far lower fees from what you're saying than, say, if I want to list it on Google Play or the iTunes App Store. It's going to be a lower cost for me to put my game up on their store to be purchased. Is this correct?
Yes, yes.
So with that said, do you see, I'm trying to find out, this goes back to Genso's question about paying the developers who actually work on building the BitShares platform, the BitShares Play platform. Are those fees that are collected going to be burned, or are they going to be given to developers, or how is that going to work?
They will be burned as a dividends to all the shareholders.
So this is purely deflationary in pretty much every way.
Yeah, yes.
Do you foresee ever having a time when, say in 10 or 12 years from now, when, the amount of shares is substantially lower than you expected, and how would you deal with something like that if it pops up? Or will that be a problem?
I'm sorry. Can you please repeat?
Yeah, you're going to have a total of, is it 1 billion shares? How many total play shares are going to be in existence?
I think it's 2 billion. 2 billion.
Okay, so let's say in, 10 or 15 years, we're looking at, it's become such a huge platform that now you only have, 500 million play shares, or let's say it's even lower. Is that going to be a problem? Do you foresee it being an issue, or do you foresee this being something where you don't really mind if it someday there's only 100,000 play shares?
Well, I think this is just like Bitcoins. Like Bitcoins, the total supply is only 21 million. Because each Bitcoin or each play share can be, the precision is can be divided, so it's not a big problem. If the platform is huge success and many shares are burnt, each share will be worth much more.
Do you foresee that being an issue as far as too many users just wanting to hold on to their play shares instead of using them? Or do you think that that's going to be something that the market forces are going to work out?
Yeah, I think market force will play an important role. Many people will definitely hold some shares if they see the potential, or they see it's already successful. But people have many needs. Some people are just entertainment driven. They want to play games. Some are investors. If the price high enough, I believe many will sell for profit. So it's a market thing.
Sounds good. Now, with that said, Genso, feel free to talk, or if Matt 608 or Logxing, if any of you have anything that you'd like to say. QJ, I'm sorry that I don't know how to say your name other than what you have in your comment, but feel free, anybody, to speak up.
I have a question. How easy is it for existing games to integrate with this? Is it something that is mainly for new games to build themselves around this, or will you approach gaming companies that already create popular games and try and get them to fit BitShares Play into their pre-existing system, or both?
Yes, thanks. That's a very good question. For existing game, they actually have two ways to integrate to BitShares Plays. One is to make it an on-chain game, which probably mean they will have to rewrite their game. This is actually what Danny and Cloud they are doing. They're trying to lower the barrier. If they make it on-chain game, this completely integrated to BitShares Play. The other way for existing game is they can use the platform to issue their the tokens, which is their game equipments, or they can their game money to the BitShares. This is probably the easiest way for an existing game to get involved in BitShares Play.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. So an existing game can create their own currency, basically, and that's how they integrate.
Yeah, that's right.
Genso, did you still have any questions? I know you had something that you wanted to ask earlier.
Yeah. As far as delegates, the people that are running the chain, what is their incentive to keep running the chain with server cost and cost associated with running a delegate? What makes them what drives them to keep wanting to run the chain?
Talking about delegates, delegates actually they play a very important role in BitShares Play. Apart from the traditional role shared by BitShares, delegates they will also have the ability to approve or disapprove games. For example, some game developers can publish their games, but whether the game is be able to played by users is up to delegates. Delegates will have the votes to allow a game to be activated, or if the game is doing evil things or they are spreading unhealthy contents, the delegates they have the ability to downvote the game, which will be deactivated. The delegates their revenue model will be something like BitShares old way. They will have they can publish their how to say that, their rate, the burn rate. So they get shares to as their revenue to support their servers and hardwares.
So they gain shares with each block that's produced?
Yes.
Okay, so the delegates gain shares, and they can also set their burn rate because it's a deflationary model. So as they're gaining shares are also being burned.
Yes, you are right. This is just like before the BitShares before model.
Yeah, okay, so it's BitShares before they voted for inflation.
Yes, you're right.
So essentially, it's you're bringing these shares into existence, or is this just transaction fees? I'm trying to understand. I'm assuming that it's transaction fees because I believe that that's what it used to be, and then you could set the burn rate on those transaction fees, how many you received. Is that correct?
Sorry, I was interrupted. You mean the transaction fee? What?
As a delegate, I'm processing these transactions on the chain, and I'm going to get a percentage of that, correct? And then I can dictate what percentage of the transaction fees I receive are burned.
Yeah, right.
And there's no essential, like, it's not like there's a block reward or anything like that for them signing off, is there? On top of the transaction fees? Or is there?
I need to confirm that. I'm a bit blur on this.
No problem. And these are the things that we're still very early in the BitShares Play Hangouts, and the BitShares Play development is moving forward as well, but at the same time, this is still a very young community that we're building here on this arm of the BitShares standard, right? So these things will happen, and if you could possibly find out about that, and maybe we can revisit it next time, that would be wonderful. Because I think that there will be a lot of people who are interested in running delegates in this ecosystem who will be interested in knowing about the exact specifics on that.
Yeah, you are right. Because things are moving so fast, and the different things are all around me. Sometimes I just get confused myself. So I try not to. Maybe we talk about this next time when I'm sure about this. I don't want to say something that I will change later.
No problem. Now, do you guys have anything else that you'd like to talk about? Logxing hasn't spoken up too much, and I don't know if he's kind of defaulting to you, or if he would like to say something and we've just been talking over him too much, or... So feel free, Logxing, if you have anything to say, and anybody else, feel free to speak up. Okay, if there's nothing with that, we're at 55 minutes. I would like to ask you if there's anything that you would like to see the community specifically helping with that you think would be beneficial moving forward. I know that you have a really big market in China. It seems to me, from my vantage point on the Western side, we're going to be trying to get you guys in touch with Max Wright from BitShares TV as well, so you can do an actual one-on-one interview and kind of get you out in that sphere as well. But are there any other areas where you feel like you would like some extra support from the community?
Yes, actually, we do try to enhance our marketing in the western side, because the most of people in the team are not native English speakers. So and most of them are Chinese. So their resources, their strengths are mainly in China. This is why they can do better here. But we try to expand our marketing activities to the Western society, to Western community. This is, I think, community can help us greatly.
Sure, and I think that there's a big niche that can be filled here, and I personally think that BitShares Play could easily be one of the largest DACs. I think it could be a top. It could be number one if it goes well, because gaming and reality are slowly coming together. I sometimes wonder if we're going to be living in the Matrix, but all joking aside, with the Internet of Things, that line between virtual items and digital items and real items is going to get blurred really quickly. And I think that people are not really expecting and understanding what's going to happen in the coming years. And I think that you guys are positioned in a really good place, and anybody who's interested in helping you market on the Western side is going to find themselves very glad that they did so. Now, with that said, do you guys know about, as far as the marketing are marketing delegates something that you've considered, or is that a no-go?
I missed the last sentence. You mean what no-go?
Have you considered marketing delegates as something that you want running, kind of like on the BitShares Super DAC chain, or are you kind of looking at that as you're not very interested in having delegates who are people who are running delegates who are also marketing? Does that make sense?
Uh, 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 I had some connection problem. I was not clearly hear your questions. You mean the marketing delegates on BitShares deck?
I guess this is a good chance for me to actually clarify it and keep it simple anyway. I can edit this part out. Let's start from the beginning, and I'll say this. On the BitShares chain, we have people who are running delegates, and they are being paid to market the BitShares platform. Do you foresee a need for that in BitShares Play? And is that something that the developers are interested in right now, or is that something that they're not interested in?
If I can jump in, I might be able to explain this a little better.
I think he's cutting out. I think I'm cutting out.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead.
In BitShares, people run delegates to gain BitShares, because BitShares are mined per block by the delegate. A delegate sets his pay rate and then collects BitShares as a fee for running a delegate. People of value set a higher pay rate, say a marketing delegate or a developer, so that they can collect more value from the system. It's a way to give a delegate incentive to keep doing what they're doing. In Play, would you allow a delegate to run at a higher pay rate to give him incentive, say marketing, to give him incentive to help with your marketing?
Yes, thank you, Matt. Yeah, I connect. My connection was normal again. I can hear you clearly. Yes, definitely. The paid the delegates, the marketing role delegates, if they can do valuable work for BitShares Play shareholder as a whole, marketing or technical or other things, that's a good thing. Would definitely welcome that.
I thought there isn't inflation, so how can they be paid?
This is actually something I was worrying about, because we are not using the inflation model BitShares is using now. So I'm kind of worried that the current the model, the fees will not support large expense activities or marketing activities. This is why we allocate some funds for marketing uses or to support the marketing activities that delegates or users they initiate.
Have you considered the potential ability to take some of the, for instance, some of the crowdfunding? And I don't know how difficult it would be. I'm certain that it would be possible. I just don't know how difficult it would be as far as the coding goes. But would you be able to use some of those crowdfunding funds to help subsidize initial delegates running, and maybe having like a temporary simulation of those of the inflationary model to a degree with using those funds?
Yeah, maybe we can see to it. Yeah, I can't say anything yet, but I think it's an idea that we can talk about later.
The reason I'm saying this is because we have a lot of people who are starting to, over in Null Street, they're really starting to put together some great marketing initiatives. And I think that there are some people who wouldn't be interested in BitShares Play. They're really kind of BitShares, what would you call it? BitShares maximalists, and that they just want the one chain. But then you have other people who are very interested in these other projects. And obviously we have some people who are interested in BitShares Play. So I'm trying to find ways that might be able to incentivize some of the people who already are building some of these networks, that it would be very easy for them to just kind of fork that network a little bit and not even necessarily need to do too much extra. For instance, somebody who runs the Google Plus BitShares page might find a reason to now start adding BitShares Play updates and things like that. So I'm trying to find ways of incentivizing individuals who are talented in the marketing sphere in the Western Hemisphere, because I think this is a very, very good potential untapped market.
Yeah, you have the point. Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Yeah.
Logxing spoke up here. He said he thinks that there will be some profit models for the delegates, not only the transaction fees. Can you speak on that, Logxing, or are you unable to talk right now? Do you know what he's talking about? He says, like, the winner bonus 1%. Can you explain that, Bombastic, or do you not know what he's talking about?
I'm not sure. Logxing, can you explain in detail? I see. Logxing is talking about that. For example, in some dice games, the big winners, they have huge rewards. Then they can send some percentage winnings as the fees to the delegates. Am I right, Logxing?
Oh, I see. So the game, it might be more like you might have multiple games that have games of chance or games of luck, however you want to call it. Some people call it games of skill, but you might be able to use it so it's hard coded that if you win 1 million play shares, there's going to be 2% that comes out and goes to the delegates.
It sounds like when you play cards, if you have a big hand in poker, you tip the dealer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Like the in Chinese we call it 抽水. I don't know in English.
In English, we just call it a tip. It's to promote more good luck.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
And what do you guys call it?
抽水.
抽水?
抽水, yeah, like draw water.
It's interesting how we call it two different things, but essentially it seems like it has the same meaning. It's to continue your good luck. It's for good we'd say like a good spirit, good vibe.
It's really cool. That's really cool. I'm not a big poker player, so this is some place where I'm glad that Genso is. But all joking aside, we're at 1 hour and 8 minutes. So is there anything else that you guys would like to cover before we end the actual recording phase of this? And of course, we can talk afterwards.